Well, I want to welcome everyone that's for leadership in a time of crisis. Our country is actually in a time of serious crisis, and there is something going on with this virus that is causing businesses to either shut down or even having to make sure that we're isolating ourselves. And we want to encourage business owners. We want to encourage the CEOs. We want to encourage managers. If you are in leadership, and you're responsible to influence people, this is going to be for you. So we want to provide some careful, helpful tips on some practical things, and we want to have a community that will gather together in this time of crisis and just let you know, hey, you're not alone. I want to introduce Sylvia Torres. She is actually impacting our community today. She has over 25 years of experience in leading businesses and helping CEOs and helping nonprofits. She worked for one of the largest nonprofits in Texas, and she has done a great job of leading volunteers. We're grateful to have her on the team. And so we're going to ask each other some questions, and I'm grateful. Hello, Sylvia.
Hi, Pastor Brandon. It's an honor for me to be on the program with you, and thank you for inviting me in. I know about you, Pastor Brandon, and your beautiful wife, Dana, is that you all have been married for 22 years, and you have 3 beautiful teenage children. You have been an entrepreneur. You've led your own business, and you've also been a pastor. You've been a worship pastor and a children's pastor for about 10 years. And now you and your beautiful wife are the lead pastors of a church here in Fort Worth, Grace for Eternity. And I love I love to see all the wonderful things that your church does for our community and how they just add value to people and how they impact our community. And so it's an honor for me to be here. And as Pastor Brandon said, everybody that's watching, we just want to help and to serve others. During this time of crisis, we are here to help, and we want to add value to you as well. So we want to thank you for watching.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to Sylvia, because she actually worked with our team of leaders, about probably, what'd you say, 10 to 12 of our leadership team. And you're a great, what she does is she's a business coach as well. And so she just coached us in our leadership, worked with some of our volunteers. And so I just know that you love to serve people, love to add value to people. And that's what this group is about. We want to add value, and we want people to know really they're not alone. So one of the things that we want to define is what is a crisis? And so Webster's dictionary says that a crisis is intense difficulty. Now that could be, if you've been in business very long, or you've been in leadership very long, you've experienced a crisis. And I think that America's never experienced a crisis like this before. And when crisis happens, 2 things happen. We either freeze or we take action. And so this community together, we want to take action, we want to influence, and we want to inspire people, and really just encourage hope and be different than other businesses. If you have a business maybe that is, maybe you're in freeze mode right now, you can be different than other businesses and really make a difference in this time. So this is an opportunity during crisis to encourage the people that you're responsible for. You want to speak to that, Sylvia?
Yes, I totally agree, Pastor Brandon. I know that your heart as well as mine is we want to help people not only get through this crisis, but also become better through it. And, when we come out of it, that we're better. And so that's exactly what we want to do on this broadcast.
Yeah, so some practical things. I was talking to a business owner. She has, probably 10 to 12 employees, and she is in retail. And then on top of that, she's a small business owner, but her 4 children are at home. And so what that means is now she's got to be a teacher at home, and maybe that's what you're experiencing. If you're watching this now, you have children at home, and you're trying to be, teachers go to college for years and then become the experts in teaching, and all of a sudden you just get thrown into the deep end of the pool, and now you got to become not just a business owner, but you're a teacher as well. And so she's trying to juggle this, and so we want to give some practical things. One of the suggestions that I had for her was in homeschool, because we've done it as parents for so many years now, we just thought, starting off, if we could get 1 hour, Sylvia, just 1 hour of getting our kids together and being focused, then that was a win for us. So I encourage this young lady to take her kids and just for 1 hour celebrate the success of getting her kids focused on their school. And so not being an expert for 8 hours right away, but taking that first step. And so this video, Sylvia, we want to talk about some practical steps. What are some steps that someone out there is watching? What's a step they can do to kind of grow in their leadership and take a practical step?
That's good. That's a good question. And I'm glad that we're covering it, because right now during this time, this season, I think that this coronavirus has put a lot of pressure on people. And like you say, parents are at home with their children. They're trying to run their business, keep up with their work, but then also with the children at home. So there's a lot more being put on their plate right now. So a lot more stress, not to mention the groceries and all the other necessities. But so one of the things that we can do to grow during this time or this season is, number one, just take time for your mental health. It's important. Maybe start off in the morning before the children get up, and just spend some quiet time and reflect on your day. Maybe work on your daily schedule, some of the things that you're going to have to get done. But it's important to take time for yourself. Daily exercise is also good. Making sure that you sleep well, that you eat well. There's several things that we could do, but regarding leadership, I think that one of the things that we can do is start working on some of those items that you've always maybe been putting off, because we're always so busy. And maybe throughout life, you've been saying, okay, there's a book that I want to write. So I encourage you, maybe get up 30 minutes early before your children get out of bed, and maybe write the first page on the first chapter of your book. Okay, or maybe there's a course that you've been wanting to take or a book that you've been wanting to read. Start by just maybe 15 minutes and working on it. We can grow our leadership as well during this time. So there's lots of materials that we could do and things that'll help us to become better leaders.
I like that. Those are good small steps. So think about this. If you're watching from home and typically you take a commute to work, and let's say, hey, it's a 30-minute drive in traffic. Well, there's an extra 30 minutes of your day that you have to invest in yourself. And really, maybe it is running around the block and getting ready for, your thoughts and getting ready for what your day is going to be. But exercise is important. Investing what we do as leaders is we take an hour a day and invest in ourselves just on leadership alone, because we have so many people that we're responsible for, and we have to invest in ourselves. And as a pastor, most people think, well, you're in the Word of God because you're preparing for Sunday. But I'm in the Word of God just to invest for myself, making sure that I'm changing my attitude, changing my thoughts to His thoughts. And so even when we go on vacation, we have no Sunday service to prepare for, and yet I open the Word of God and I make sure that my thoughts are renewed, because it's a mental exercise that reminds me of how much I'm loved by Jesus, right? Reminds me of how much I'm loved by God, and reminds me of why I do what I do. And so same thing, if you're in business and you're in leadership, invest in yourself. Think about what other leaders are pouring into you. For me, it's podcasts. Maybe for you, it's videos. Maybe it's YouTube videos. Whatever that is, invest in yourself. Right, Sylvia? Aren't you doing?
I totally agree. Take the time to do some of those things that you've been wanting to do. You're at home, like Pastor Brandon said. You're saving that time, your commute time, so you have that extra time maybe. Or after the kids go to bed, get on the computer and record that video that you've been wanting to do. Maybe it's exercise. There's lots of exercise videos on the computer nowadays, on the internet, online, that you can do. So I encourage you to grow during this time and during this season. And our perspective, as you were saying, our perspective on how we see things really affects everything. So the perspective of how we see things will affect how we do things as well.
All right. So if somebody's watching this video and they say, well, I'm not in leadership. Now, you and I have an idea of leadership, and I think you define it great. And so will you talk about what does leadership really mean? What's the definition of leadership?
Okay, well, there's so many definitions out there. If you Google leadership, you'll find so many definitions because it encompasses so much. But one of my favorite definitions is the way John Maxwell defines it, and that's that leadership is influence. When it all boils down to like the nuts and bolts of leadership, is that it's influence. You know, you look at any group, and the person that has most influence in a group is really the person that's leading the group. It's not necessarily the person that has the title or the leadership role, but it's the person that has the most influence with the group is the person that's actually leading the group.
Good. That's really good. So you've worked a lot with volunteers. And when you're working with volunteers, we're a volunteer-led church, and so you're not writing paychecks. And so what I heard you say was that, you know, influence doesn't mean that you're just necessarily an employer where they have to do what you say because you will not give them a check. It's influencing them to do things that are best for them, right? That's an influence, right?
That's exactly right. You know, when you're working for volunteers, it's really a whole totally different aspect. Then, because if you have employees and you're paying them, then you sort of have that leverage over them, because you know you have that leverage where you know they're working for you and they're providing a service and you're paying them for that service. But when you have a group of volunteers, they're working and they're serving because they want to serve. And in reality, that is the best leadership. People who can work really well with volunteers. I mean, that's really the true mark of a leader, is if you can have people serving and volunteering and willingly do it, that's a good leader there. And so it's a good mark of a leader when you have people who want to serve and who want to follow you and do the things that you ask them to do. That's good leadership.
That's awesome. So, hey, those of you that are watching from home, Sylvia has led hundreds of volunteers, and she's been responsible for that. And so she's speaking from experience. And maybe you're working from home, and maybe you're just maybe you're not responsible to lead a group of people, but maybe you're responsible to lead your home. And this video is for you. This is, you know, children don't get paid, and so they're like volunteers in the house, right? And so you're inspiring them, you're leading them, and they're watching what you do. And so you are a leader. And one person said this, that if you don't think you're leading, and maybe all you have is a pet in the home, listen, that dog or cat, they think of you as a leader. So you're leading someone. So this video is for everyone, is my point. And so I just want to encourage you, wherever you're at during this crisis, leadership is so important. We don't want to freeze. We want to take steps that it will encourage the people that are watching us, that we're responsible for. And there's some steps that I want you to look at, that we have tools. And so, Sylvia, will you talk about some of the tools that are on your website? Can you talk about your website for just a moment?
Sure. If you want to connect with me, you can go to johnmaxwellgroup.com/Sylvia Torres. Again, johnmaxwellgroup.com/Sylvia Torres.
Okay, and also we're going to have some things online. If you're watching this on either Facebook or YouTube, you can comment below, and we're actually going to be responding to those comments next week. We're going to actually bring some of those comments to answer them on video, but we will answer them right away. So if you have a comment and you have thoughts, hey, how does your business, what's the next step for you in your business to lead people or to lead in your home, please comment below. For us, we want to pray with you. So I'm a pastor, so you can go to graceforeternity.com and just know there's teachings there. If you want to hear the word or just be encouraged in your spirit, we have lots of teachings online, and we want to pray with you. So you can go to graceforeternity.com. And there's so many things out there that you can invest in yourself. There's lots of great teachings out there, and we want you to be able to share below some things that you've learned, that you've taken that step, and there's things that you have had success in even during this time of crisis. So we encourage you. This is a community to jump in and let people know they're not alone. Okay, does that make sense?
That's great.
Coming up next, we're actually going to do another video this Tuesday, and so as you're commenting, just know that we'll ask you if we can share some of these questions online. So if you want to have it, maybe you have a question and we can't speak necessarily to that. For some of you, you're in retail. For some of you, you're in the office, or you're in the marketplace, or there's specific questions that you may have. we're going to ask those for other people in the community to be able to help and answer. So we want to do this not alone, but together. Right, Sylvia?
That's exactly right. And we want to thank everybody for watching, and we look forward to hearing your comments, and we want to see you here again.
Yep. Next Tuesday, check in with us. Y'all have a great day.